there, Parker Reed here, and welcome to PR Media, your home for everything movies and music through my eyes. And today we have a review of the brand new 4K Ultra HD Blu-ray edition of The Good, the Bad, and the Ugly. In the Southwest during the Civil War, a mysterious stranger, Joe, played by Clint Eastwood, and a Mexican outlaw, Tuco, played by Eli Wallach, form an uneasy partnership. Joe turns in the bandit for the reward money, then rescues him just as he's being hanged. When Joe's shot at the noose goes awry during one escapade, a furious Tuco tries to have him murdered. The men re-team abruptly, however, to beat out a sadistic criminal in the Union Army and find $200,000 that a soldier has buried in the desert. So going into this review, I've seen bits and pieces of The Good and the Bad and the Ugly over the course of my life, but I've never sat down and watched the full movie, but I did recently when this 4K disc came out, and I'm so glad that I did. So much has been said about The Good and Bad and the Ugly that I'm not really going to add any more fuel to that fire. It's one of the classic westerns of all time, probably the most famous western of all time. It's got the sound effects, it's got the score, it's got the acting, it's got Clint freaking Eastwood, and this movie is finally on 4K, the first of the Dollars trilogy to make it. But is this movie worth a purchase on 4K? Let's find out. So if you decide to pick up The Good and the Bad and the Ugly on 4K Ultra HD, you just have this one slipcover to pick from Kino Lorber, and it features some classic poster artwork of the good, the bad, and the ugly on the front. And on the back, we have some information about the movie, its technical specs, as well as what special features are offered on this release. Take off the slipcover, we have a normal case here featuring that same artwork and information, and open it up, we just have some normal Kino Lorber Blu-ray and 4K discs. For visuals on The Good, the Bad, the Ugly, we have native 4K, and this is widescreen, so you will have black bars at the top and the bottom. And the biggest controversial aspect of this picture is there's no HDR, there's no high dynamic range added to this picture, so it's really only a slight uptick in detail from the Blu-ray. A lot of people were disappointed with that, including me. This had some sequences that could have been really aided by that, especially scenes in the desert, and some scenes in darker scenarios as well. I think HDR really would have aided this. I don't know why it's not present on here. With a movie as classic as The Good, the Bad, and the Ugly, I don't know why it didn't get the full 4K treatment. And with that drawback though, does come a really good and crisp picture sometimes. A lot of times when you get closer on people's faces, it looks brilliant. But there's some other shots, and this may be just due to the source of it. It looks grainy, it looks blurred out, it looks dissolved. It doesn't look phenomenal. It's kind of hit or miss. You can go between one shot that's super grainy and super out of focus, and you can go to another shot that's super crisp and in 4K goodness. It's a weird dichotomy to have, but that's what we're having here. And I think this is the best this movie's ever going to look, especially if they don't add HDR here. But a little sneaking suspicion in me thinks they're going to add HDR and high dynamic range later because they want to keep releasing this movie. They want to keep making money from this movie. But the visuals were a bit of a mixed bag because this movie is beautifully shot. The cinematography is sprawling and it's epic. But it could have looked a lot better. For audio on The Good and the Bad and the Ugly, we have a DTS HD Master Audio 5.1 mix, and I think this did the job. It sounds pretty good. You can always hear the dialogue. The sound effects are pretty loud, I will admit, but I never had a problem hearing the dialogue, so that's a win in my book. Would I wanted a Dolby Atmos track in here? Sure, I want Dolby Atmos on everything. I'd eat Dolby Atmos on a slice of bread every morning if I could. But when you mix the DTS track with the subpar visuals and no HDR, it's a little bit disappointing. But as far as audio goes, I think that was the standout aspect of The Good and the Bad and the Ugly. So would I recommend The Good and the Bad and the Ugly on 4K Ultra HD Blu-ray? I'm going to have to say pass on it. This sold out, so you're only going to be able to get it on reselling sites if they don't restock it, and it was $27.99 to begin with. That's really expensive, especially when you compare it to something like the Dollars trilogy where you can get all three films, and that's like 10 or 15 bucks. So you're going to pay $27.99 for one film with no HDR and just a DTS audio track? No. I enjoyed my experience with this, but I would not recommend you pick up this disc. Like I said, pick up a collection like this. You can find them. They're a dime a dozen. Go to Walmart or Target. I'm sure you can find it, but I would not recommend you buy this disc. It was a bit disappointing, even though I did really enjoy the film, and I think this did look as good as it could have given all the different circumstances. Thank you so much for watching this video. If you liked what you saw here, you can check us out on Facebook or Instagram, and like, comment, and subscribe if you so choose. My name is Parker Reed. You've been watching PR Media. Keep supporting physical media, and I'll see you next time. Thanks, guys.